and we have, 3 months, 4 months to learn Spanish. But just have to throw that out there.
For the Super Bowl.
Yes. And that's
Indeed.
but seriously though, we need to get this colonial status that we have, and you can't just throw the economics and say, well, they pay for this and pay for that. The slave owners used to pay to feed the slaves. Okay, so the fact that they compensate us quite generously with different programs that we able to participate in those programs should not be a factor in what type of relationship we have with them. I think we need to actually honestly have a existential conversation about where these islands are going.
Without a doubt. Gentlemen, great conversation this morning. Thank you very much for joining us on Bush Tea. Hey, Dwayne, you never tell me where you had this man in Balsam or Ginger?
No, I actually went with WhatsApp because I woke up early and I was feeling kind of thing. So I had a little soursop. And I trained some thing in there, made it on lemongrass, but it was mainly soursop.
Dwayne, Ed Brown, you hear about it, right? Soursop was on lemongrass. Yeah. Okay?
Of course. That's why I said some green tea too. I dealt with some green tea. Awesome.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great conversation.
Thank you.
Hey, look, Ed, if you talk to John Telly, I need to get in contact with him, man. So I'll get it to Iowa so I can exchange.
Which John? I know a lot of John.
John Canigata.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, good. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll tell him right now.
Okay, good. Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Thank you, Dwayne.
All right.
Okay, good. That's our Bush Tea discussion there with Dwayne Henry and Ed Brown talking about what we're dealing with here in the territory. So we're going to go right into transition into Period University. We got Karen Chancellor from the Virgin Islands Department of Education. She's the coordinator of school and community relations in the St. Croix district. Good morning, Ms. Chancellor. How are you?
Good morning. I am well, thank you.
Good to see you. Been a while?
Thank you. It has.
All is well?
All is well.
Good. How's the Department of Education doing?
Well, the Department of Education is moving forward with doing our best to educate our children.
That's good.
And since we mentioned Parent University, to support our parents, because those are the individuals who teach our children first. Yeah.
Introduce yourself to the audience. Tell the public a little about yourself.
Sure. My name is Karen Chancellor. I am a career educator. I have been in the Department of Education for over 28 years now. I began as a teacher at the St. Croix Educational Complex. And then after some years, I went back to school and got a master's in school guidance and counseling. Then I went back again eventually and got a master's in educational leadership. And I am the mother of 2 wonderful daughters and a grandmother of 1 grandson.
You're talking about. Go back a little further. Though. Tell us about your growing up, where you grew up and all that stuff. Tell the public.
Sure. Yeah, so originally I was born in Trinidad.
Okay.
And
to the bone?
You say where?
To the bone? That's a Tom to the youth Trinity to the bone.
To the bone. To the bone.
Yeah.
However, back in the 60s, when Hess opened up they were recruiting workers. I mean, I wasn't born yet at the time, but my parents, my dad was recruited by Hess back in the days, Havik and all of that. And so he came here first. And, I guess my story is very similar to other migrant stories.
Yes, it is.
And so my parents came here. And as you know, earlier in those years, immigrant children weren't allowed to be educated in the public school system. And so when my brother, who's older than I am, when he came up, he ended up going to St. Patrick's and Hess, ended up funding.
Oh, yeah, man. Hess. Look, if it's one thing they can't say about Hess is the children of employees.
Yes.
Private schools.
Yes.
Matter of fact, when Hess closed, that impacted the private schools.
Yes, it sure did.
Yeah.
And so then eventually I was born. I ended up being born in Trinidad. And I did grow up there for a few years, for like 6-7 years. And then I came here and I was educated in the Virgin Islands. This is my home.
By the time you got here,
we were allowed in the public school system.
I was going to ask that,
But But, it already started that my brother happened to have been in another school, so my parents just put me there anyway. And, I got to be frank with you. I don't think I was that strong academically when I first began. And I think that's a story of so many of our parents, that their children may not be as strong academically as they would like to see them. I wasn't stupid. It was nothing like that. I just didn't blossom yet. And then over the space of years, because of the influence of my mom and my dad, with them pushing education, and education being so important to them because it offered opportunities that they didn't have before when they were growing up, and so my parents pushed us. They pushed us to do all that we could. And eventually, mentally, I started to blossom. And so then, next thing you know, my life is in school. My career is school, the same school that I used to hate, like doing anything educational growing up. And now I love it. And I love working with our parents. I love working with our children. And I love working with our community. And so that's me. I ended up going to school here. Eventually, I went to...
Well, you're an alumnus of which high school?
St. Croix Country Day School.
Country Day School,
yeah.
Okay.
And so then I went to New York, and I went to college in New York, to Long Island University.
You went to LIU?
Yes, I did.
In Brooklyn or?
In Brooklyn.
Yeah?
LI Jew.
Yeah, yeah. I did 2 years out on the island.
Oh, yeah.
And CW Post.
Yes.
CW Post are right next door to SUNY Old Westbury. And New York Tech was right there. The three of us are right next to each other out there in the Westbury area. Yeah.
Yes,
you went to LIU, man.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
I did.
man.
I went there and I graduated from LIU, and then I returned home. This is my home.
Okay.
And so then I started teaching at Complex when they first opened. 1995, under Mr. VLA. And I have
I had
to
a holy
admit,
rebel teachers in that
you
school
stand
then.
there, listen, not
you
the new
positive,
ones.
Michael
Yes, he was
Tolan.
there, yes.
Miss Fredericks, Felicia, that's what the first name was?
I don't remember her first
Fredericks,
name.
I remember Allah, because they were taking
Yeah.
forever to pay IO.
Yes.
Take too
I
long
was
to
one
pay
of
IO.
those.
Yeah.
I was one of those.
I had to pull up an argument like, what going on? When we get paid?
I was
remember
one
that.
of those.
Yeah.
But back in those days, I was soft, though. And so because of the stronger ones like Positive and Thurland and some of the others who were more radical.
Out of West, her name was Fredericks. Her father, Claude Fredericks, was a police officer down in the West. We're talking with Karen Chancellor. She's from the Virgin Islands Department of Education. She's the coordinator for school and community relations here in the St. Croix district. We'll take a break and come back because they got big things going on Friday night, right?
Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday night. So we'll take a break. Be back right after this. back here. Analyze this. We got Miss Karen Chancellor here in the studio representing the Department of Education. I got a text message to say, yeah, Felicia Fredericks. And I look up her on Facebook, and she's an educator, former teacher at the government of the Virgin Islands, 1995 to 1999.
Yeah.
I think you're part of that career with our blazing, and that was good. Listen, that actually created leaders. Got two senators come out of that.
Yes,
Positive and Michael Tolan. You know what I mean?
Yes, and absolutely. And I have to say also that the kind of discipline that we learned, you know, as in those days, of course, being like a newer teacher, the expectations that, you know, the administration had for us, it caused us to, you know, to take more pride in ourselves and in the work that we did, and in focusing on ensuring that the children had the skills that they needed. And so that was a wonderful experience for me, starting out at the St. Croix Educational Complex.
That's our newest school.
Yeah. And then
30 years later, still our newest school. I mean, that's going to change next year, based on what I'm hearing with the new school down there by Evelyn Richards.
Yes,
Evelyn Williams is going to be the new Arthur Richards School. But, you know, we haven't done a good job as a territory in terms of the new school reconstruction. Of course, the hurricane.
And maintenance.
Yeah, man.
I think maintenance
exactly.
is one
critical.
of the biggest issues over the space of years. Yeah.
So, you're an executive now. What's that like?
Executive.
You're the management now, right?
Management of what?
Coordinator as a department.
No, that's not. I think it probably sounds more glamorous than it really is. I am not managing people. Just I'm managing a program, an important program, but it's a program.
Yeah, you're doing executive management. You know what I'm saying? And so working with coordinators and all that stuff. What's that like?
Well, I am so blessed to be a part of the curriculum and instruction team. And I think that we have the best coordinators in the Virgin Islands. So it's been a great experience working with them. It's not just coworkers, it's family. Yeah, that we support one another. Whenever I do a workshop, and if it pertains to one of the subject areas covered by another coordinator, they're going to show up and support and participate. And so it is a good experience working with them. And we have a new director. She is Dr. Suzette Bloodman. And so far, so good. We're enjoying our new director. She's quite experienced. And she's one of our people because she was here before. And so now she's back home again. And so we're enjoying working together.
When you mention one of our people, if you will, talk about why understanding our culture and our people is so critical. It isn't just about education. It's about learning who we are, what we're about, how we function.
Yes, people are not numbers. You know, and I think that's one of the things that used to concern me. Like when we look at leaders who are so accustomed to dealing with only fiscal affairs, it always scared me that they're going to see me as a number and not as a whole human being. And so when I say one of our people, and it's not necessarily by birth, but it's by acceptance, it's by love, it's by understanding, it's by culture, right? And so it is important to know where we came from. It's important to understand the dynamics of our community. Sometimes the way that we phrase things, we might be able to phrase them that way somewhere else. But here in the Virgin Islands, it might be different, and vice versa. There are times that maybe someone who's not from here, I'm going to use the term outsider, not to be derogatory, right? But someone from the outside the Virgin Islands might come and hear us say something that sounds like rough and scathing, but that they're actually terms of endearment. You know, and so understanding the cultural dynamics, it does help to provide a better service to the people that we serve.
Well, you know, we are a melting pot.
Yes.
Here in the Virgin Islands, a lot of us have family members who were from the Eastern Caribbean.
Yes.
My mother from Antigua. My father from here. So it's good for those who are assimilating to understand that our demographics are unlike anywhere else in the Caribbean. You know, we're literally a melting pot.
Yep.
right? Where folks who have aspirations of moving on to the U.S., which was the mentality. It was pervasive back in from going way back, late 1800s, 1900s. I mean, millions of West Indians worked their way through the Virgin Islands on their way to the mainland.
Yep.
That in and of itself has value.
Yes, yes. Because then what we have here, we bring elsewhere where we go. And it introduces the Virgin Islands and the people and the culture, and it brings a different type of appreciation. You know, when you meet someone from somewhere else, it's different from just reading about that place in a book. I remember a friend of mine, we were speaking, one of my dreams is to go to Africa, right? I even did Ancestry DNA, by the way. It was awesome. But anyway, so I'm dreaming, like I want this thing. And then he said to me, oh, you know what? I want to go to Madagascar. And I said, that's kind of like, that's like kind of awkward. Like, why? And he said, because when I was on a plane, I met someone from Madagascar. And, she seemed like such a nice person. I'd really like to go. She made the place sound so interesting. And so that in itself is being like an inspiration for tourism, right?
Yeah.
So when our people go away and we're not bad talking the place that we come from, we're encouraging others to have that same appreciation.
Yeah, while I was talking to you, and the major migration, actually may have started in the late 1800s, what have you, but, our impact, goes back to the 1700s with Alexander Hamilton, right? A classic example of, born in Nevis, educated here in St. Croix, first Treasury Secretary. I mean, One more of an example do you need to show how people movement?
Yeah.
Not derogatory like you said earlier, right? That's just a way of life.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Migrants.
And how we how it's impacted every time. I always brag about the fact every time you use the ATM card, that goes back to Hamilton. He's the one who created the national banking system in America. You know what I'm saying?
Interesting.
If you look at it from its genesis, right? That's the type of mentality that we got to have. And it started with him, being born in Charlestown, Nevis, and his foundational years, and then coming here, learning about mercantilism, because his people own a shop, and he was working in a shop and all that stuff, and then he ended up being one of the founding fathers. And then recently, we are in an overly political world right now, right? Very marginalized, right? Where any little thing could get you, cast away.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And so there was a judge who ruled on an issue. And she was originally born in Trinidad, where she's a U.S. judge right now. So, when you rule a certain way, they're going into your background and all that stuff. So they were beating up on this judge, a female judge. She was born in Trinidad, by the way. So they started to beat up on her, and a Caucasian man had to tell America, how you keep talking about migrants and all that stuff. Alexander Hamilton was born in Nevis.
Wow.
And look, a lot of them who are running their mouth, all of a sudden they get very, very silent, because the same people are you worshiping.
Yes.
Right? Are of the same migrant history.
Yeah.
That the person you're beating up on right now.
But a lot of great
ways.
American people have that type of history.
Of course.
Yeah.
America's a nation of migrants.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
this immigrants. So this notion that because it's in vogue now, we're anti-immigrants and all that stuff. No. You can't wipe out history.
Everyone here was an immigrant.
I mean, that's just how it is.
The only difference is that some of us didn't try to steal the property of others. We were brought here by force. But those that were immigrants, right? Unlike us, they came in to take over and to steal.
That's
so
right.
those same people complaining and making noise, they did worse than those that are coming here now.
I couldn't have said any better. Thank you very much, Madam Coordinator. I like that. So, Parent University, talk a little bit about that and how we want to use that vehicle to create a better understanding, better relationship between our parents, students, or even those who are parents by de facto. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Situations happen, default.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So Parent University basically is a series of workshops. There's Parent University in St. Croix and Parent University in St. Thomas.
And St. John.
And St. Thomas, but through the Department of Education is what I'm speaking about. I know that there was some organization that was doing something in St. John.
Yeah, Ms. Smith.
And then in general, different organizations do different parenting workshops. I know that the Women's Coalition, they do, a very prolific, workshop as well. But this initiative out of the Department of Education, it's something that began before my time, right? There was, I don't remember if her name was Janet Brown.
Janet Brown.
Okay, good. Yeah, so from what I'm understanding, is that she did an excellent job doing this Parent University. She did a great job with it. After she left, nobody picked it up. So when I came on board, I was listening to the Senate hearings. I was listening to other people saying, oh, where's Parent University? Now, keep in mind, at the time, I'd been doing many parent workshops, but I didn't call it Parent University. And so what I realized is that people like to hear something that they can relate to, and it sounds better. And so technically, I was doing it because I was doing these different themed workshops. But then I changed the name because I did want the community to understand what it is. And again, in the Senate, I'm always hearing, but we're Parent University, and so what happened to that? And so in my mind, I'm saying, but we're still doing it. But I did take up that name, Parent University, so that the community would understand what it is about, because that's what they're used to hearing. So it's basically workshops that are supporting families. The topics can range from anything to from education all the way to family dynamics, to domestic violence, to health and nutrition, cyber safety. One of the workshops that I really loved, I was able, some of them, by the way, I get sometimes there was funding available to pay vendors to do these workshops. And so I was able to get a professional to come in, and her name is escaping me right now, but I was collaborating with Saida Carter out of the St. Croix Educational Complex. Saida is a lover of our people and a lover of our young people, and she works so well with them. So she introduced me Janice Johnson Diaz, right? Dr. Janice Johnson Diaz. And she is a sociologist. She's an author. She came and she did 2 workshops. One was called How to Raise Boys, and the other was about how to raise girls. So it was about raising the child you have, not the child you wish you had. That was so deep. And the people who attended, they loved it. And so that's just to say the topics are not always academic. It's basically to build the capacity of our families to have them be a stronger unit.
By the way, I got a text message.
Tell me.
And make sure I read this correctly. Janet was the first Parent University.
Okay.
And followed by Lorraine Matthew.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So thank you very much, Senator, for that information. Well, so you were saying you were providing the same service, but not under the same name.
Right, and it's and just to be clear, Parent University, it's not a must. When I say that, it's not.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I
because
understand what you mean,
because as the coordinator of school and community relations and parent and community engagement, there are different things that I do. And now in St. Thomas, my counterpart, Jerry Ford, she also does Parent University. And so we have a great collaborative relationship where we communicate.
But isn't there a mainland charter or something like that for Parent University, or is that something that we create here?
That's something that we did here.
Yeah,
it's something we did here, and I'm sure maybe other states have similar initiatives, but that's something that we were doing. It wasn't something that we necessarily had to do, but we're doing it because we want to support our families and to help bring information to our parents so that they can better support their children. It's about a partnership, and that's one of the things that concerns me as well, is that sometimes we see each other as enemies, education versus parents, but we're not. We're working together because we want the same outcome. We want our children to be the best that they can be. And speaking personally, I'm not working in education just, because I have to, right? I'm doing it because I love it and I want to. I enjoy what I do and I enjoy our people, and I get gratification when I see our people blossom.
How can they contact you?
You can reach me at karen.chancellor@vide.vi. That's KARENCELLOR@vide.vi. And I am responsive to emails. And if after some time of emailing me, you might get my personal phone number because you might have some type of emergency or something that you have questions about, I'm okay with that too.
We're talking with Karen Chancellor, Parent University, parental sessions in November and December, coming up at the UVI Great Hall. We'll get into those details when we come back from this break.
Absolutely.
And we're back here. Analyze this. We got Miss Karen Chancellor from the Department of Education. She's the coordinator of school and community relations for the St. Croix district here in the studio. So we got parental sessions coming up at the St. Croix UVA Great Hall.
That's correct.
Give us the details, if you will.
Sure. The one on this this Thursday, I am so excited to announce that Waldemar Broadhurst, the famous local artist, will be doing a workshop for families on wire art. And that one, we had to do a sign up because there's room for 15 families. Of course, a family can be 4 people, right? And so, one person can sign up and bring their family, right? And that is what's nice about that. It's a group activity. And so these are things that you can do on your own. So whether it's having a family game night, a family arts and craft night, a family cooking night, these are things that parents can do together. So that's just one example. So that's on Thursday, the 13th. On Friday,
what's the time for that?
5:30 to 8:30.
And you've already maxed out the quota?
I believe so. I have to go back in on Eventbrite, and I'm pretty sure that we did because it's, that's something, it's, pretty exciting. And I know that a lot of people had been interested when the flyers first came out. And so now you can still show up, right? You can come and gain the information because in addition to Mr. Broadhurst doing his demonstration and his class, we also have cultural education director Stephanie Brown, who is going to explain to us where the idea of the Mokojumbi came from and the market woman attire. And so she's going to be making a little presentation on that, so you can still gain, even if you don't have the hands-on experience of making a Mokojumbi wire art or making a market woman wire art, you can still come and learn how to do it. And it still be good family time. It's a good opportunity for kids to get community service hours as well. On the 14th, that one is going to be with a local historian. That's a vendor that I found money. I was able to pay a vendor for 8 sessions. And so this is one of those sessions. So we did 2 with that vendor. And then the next 2 coming up this week, the one with the wire art and a local historian to help parents to learn how to use Virgin Islands history and culture to help educate their children and to build family dynamics. So that is something that the vendor is taking care of. And then, of course, coming up in December, we have some more sessions. Cyber safety, for example, that's important for our kids to learn about screen time, cyberbullying. Now, some of the presentations that are done are done by a paid vendor when there's money, and that money, at that time there happened to be a little funding we were able to find. But there are other presentations that I do myself that I will create the content for. I want to do something every month so that families have something to look forward to and that they can attend together. I just want to build that relationship and that partnership so our children can be successful and have a fighting chance out in this world.
No, you got a family cultural history night coming up on Friday?
Yes, that is when a local historian that is chosen, the vendor is the one that's doing this, the presenter. She's the one that is putting that one together. A local historian is going to talk about historical sites on St. Croix and how to use that type of engagement to build family dynamics.
That's 5:30 to 8:30 on Friday?
Yes. Now that one, the one that's on Thursday is directly across from the Great Hall. I think it's EVC 401, but it's directly across from the Great Hall. And then the other one on Friday is at the Great Hall itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you won't be able to miss it.
Where are you hoping to be? What are you hoping to accomplish this November by the end of the school year?
By the end of the school year?
Yeah, 6 months from now.
I
November,
would
in May.
Professionally, I would, when it comes to this, I would love to see more parents involved in these activities and involved in their children's education, my dream is to help parents have better communication with the schools so that the relationship isn't volatile, but it's productive. So those are some of the things professionally that I'd like to see happen.
Now, me personally and my audience, they hear me talk about it at least once a week. How we could get the libraries back into the lives of our young people so that they could understand that everything doesn't have to be limited to a cell phone.
Yep.
And they could get into that library setting and learn about discipline, learn about the ability to research and focus and all that stuff.
Listen, that is an absolute passion of mine too, because when Complex opened, I was an English teacher, and then when I moved on to elementary, what I did is I had a reading corner in my classroom, and that was considered a reward, not a punishment. So if you were able to finish your work in time, you get to go on the rug. I had a nice rug with some big pillows and the books, those scholastic books. And I would let the kids, have that moment, that's quiet time. You get to choose a book and to read. So it starts from home, because as parents, we have to make going to the bookstore and the library a fun activity. It's a treat. It's not a punishment like, oh God, I have to read again. So it starts from home, and then it continues on in the schools. As teachers, we have to encourage our children to read books. And I support technology, by the way. I think we need more technology classes because that's the world that we're living in. At the same time, we can't negate the fact that there's something about reading books that is good for our children. All this screen time, it's not good for the brain, it's not good for the eyes. Sometimes you need a break. And when you have books, you have that delayed gratification, and it teaches you patience. So you're not seeing pictures that are given to you by AI. You have to create those pictures in your brain yourself. And so reading does build the person mentally and emotionally as well. So parents need to start bringing their children to the bookstores, to the library. Start ordering highlights. Remember, I don't know if you remember highlights. Those were those magazines like teachers would have, and you the catalogs, right? And then you bring them home, and then your parents allow you to pick some of the books, and you get to buy them. Then a couple weeks later, the books come in, and so every month there were highlights. I miss those days. Right? Then in school, we used to have, when I was teaching elementary, I did both high school and elementary teaching. When I was teaching elementary, we had Time for Kids, that little magazine. And I used that when I was teaching social studies to my elementary students. We would go through those lessons, and it was a great experience. It caused them to read. We must train our children to love to read and to be creative.
Well, literacy is, as a personal thing for me, I think our levels need to be a whole lot higher than they are, and it opens up so many avenues.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So to hear you talk about the importance of reading, and I've asked teachers if maybe we need to add a reading class, double up or triple up on the reading in those formative years, first, second, and third, so that they're not intimidated. There was an intimidation problem with a lot of students as they get towards 4th, 5th, 6th grade, middle school, and we want them to be aggressive when it comes to reading.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And not be intimidated by the size of a book or the thickness of a book. I got to read this. Yeah. You got to want to attack it. You know what I'm saying? I would prefer that you want to embrace, what's inside of it, than be intimidated by the size of it.
And the way it's presented makes a difference. What I used to do, again, is I would read books together with my students. There were times I would read to them, and believe it or not, high school students enjoyed that time. I would read to them.
That's good.
At times. They enjoyed that. And then there were times that we would read together. And so somebody else would take a turn. Now, you mentioned intimidation, and it can be embarrassing for someone who has difficulty reading.
Exactly.
And so they have to say out those words.
But we need to know where you're at, though. That's why diagnostics testing is so important.
Yes.
Right? I can't help you if I don't know what level you at.
But we have to train the other kids.
I can't
too.
get into the assumption game.
And we have to train the other children not to tease and bully people.
Of course.
As teachers, we have to stand against that.
Well, we're not only, it ain't just limited to that,
Yeah.
We also want them to be teachers.
Yeah.
Because their fellow students could actually, there are instances where they relate better to their peers than to me and you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So all of that, all those dynamics are in play, but.
And the teacher, that's the teacher's job. Is not easy because you said it. Dynamics that are in play in the classroom. There's this dance that you have to do with between supporting, right, and then still allowing people to work independently. And so you have to train your students to support one another. Right? So you can't have it in a class, you can't read, you song bad. No, we can't have that.
But children are going to be children.
But as teachers, we must stand against it. We can't allow it.
Without a doubt.
We cannot allow kids. That's another passion for me is bullying. We cannot allow our children to be bullied in school, whether it's by an adult or by another student.
But you and I, when we look back at our childhood, when we were growing up, we have regrets. There's certain things that we may have did that we wouldn't even consider doing now because we've matured, right? Our brain, has matured to the point where we have the ability, teasing serves no purpose. You follow what I'm saying? When we were young, he's an enemy
I was
of
on
mine.
the other end of that stick, sir.
That's what I'm saying.
I was the one the one that was sometimes teased and
all of we
bullied.
get teased at some point. You know what I'm saying? So the point that I'm making is, it's really a two-way street, though. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It isn't just about a teacher telling a student what to do. A child must also be receptive to what the teacher is telling them to do. You know what I'm saying?
Have to.
So there's a two-way part of that. So details again tomorrow night, 5:30. You got Mr. Bradhorse tomorrow night.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
And then on Friday, that's a cultural night on Friday night.
Yes.
Right. When Shalana gonna be tomorrow night?
That's tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and so I love working with her.
Yeah.
She's just such a pleasant person to be around. Yes. So, and again, I am giving a shout out to our coordinators in curriculum and instruction, a wonderful family. I did 2 workshops with them earlier on this year. And I thought that we would get more traction with that because it was so important. It was on the curriculum. And so the coordinators came out then in the evening to show parents what the standards are in the Virgin Islands curriculum and where to find the information online, where to find the textbooks. What is it my child is, because I want to know that as a parent, what is it that my child is supposed to be learning in pre-K in 4th grade? Where can I get this information? If my child says he forgot his math book, is that true, or can I find it online? And all that information, the coordinators came out and were giving it to the parents. And the parents that attended, they found it was worthwhile. I also had some of our star teachers come into that workshop and give a little mini lesson to our parents to show them what it's like to be a student in today's classroom. And the parents really enjoyed it. So I'm hoping to do that one again. I also, I want to do one on what to do after high school. I know that our guidance counselors in high school, they meet with parents every year because that is mandated by the Board of Education. And they have that discussion on what it is that their children are going to do when they graduate. So all children have a plan, right? So whether they follow that plan, you can't do anything about it after they graduate, but the plan is there and it's worked on with the kids and the parents. However, I will be collaborating with some of our community stakeholders like military, Department of Labor, and we're going to come back out and do another workshop on how to make that decision of what to do when you graduate from high school, just to support our parents in having that discussion, because we have to give our children something to dream. We can't just have them graduate and then, like they figure it out later. Everything must be intentional in today's world.
Chancellor, I want to thank you very much for making some time to join us this morning. The Period University is in effect here on St. Croix.
Yes.
And the event's taking place at UVI tomorrow night and Friday night.
That's correct.
Right?
And in December, there's going to be more.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Feeling good about the direction, the department, and your role in playing a part in that?
In the direction as far as working with the
with the agency, you're part of a collective.
Listen,
you're not alone.
You have to feel good about where you work, and I love working for the Department of Education, and I look forward to great things.
That's what we're talking about. Karen Chancellor, out of the West.
Yes, the West is the best. Listen, I grew up in Williams Delight.
Yeah.
I am a Williams Delighty, okay? And I thank you so much for allowing me to be here. I want to appreciate you for that.
Of course, that's
yeah.
Karen
Thank
Chancellor,
you for taking time.
Virgin Islands Department of Education Coordinator of School and Community Relationships here in the St. Croix District. I want to thank Dwayne Henry and Ed Brown for joining me for some Bush Tea talk some politics in hour number 1. And looking forward to talking with you tomorrow. Okay, so be good, be safe. Talk to you then. Bye-bye.
The views and opinions expressed on Analyze This are entirely those of the on-air participants and do not reflect those of the station's board, management, staff, or underwriters.